Hello, friends. Welcome aboard the Round Trip Stories podcast, where we share stories of moving around the world and back again, reflecting on the lessons we've learned along the way. My name is Melissa.
And my name is Tracy, and we're so glad you're joining us for today's episode. Welcome back to part 2 of our interview with Dave Darval, bush pilot turned commercial pilot and husband to Ginger Darval of episodes 76 and 77. Dave's work for Mission Aviation Fellowship, or MAF, in Colombia was cut short after safety issues, so he and Ginger packed up their family of 5 and returned to Southern California. He continued flying into Mexico during their first years of transition, and then decided to fly commercially after that. Listen to Dave reflect on his time back in the U.S. and his partnership with Ginger as they get ready to celebrate their 50 years of marriage. So buckle your seatbelts and make sure your tray tables and seats are in their upright positions as part 2 of Dave's round trip story gets ready for takeoff. We are back with part 2 of our episode with Dave Darval, a pilot, and we are so grateful that he has joined us. Thanks for coming back, Dave.
It's been fun so far. Let's keep it going.
Okay, let's keep it going. And just as a reminder, Dave is part of a partnership with his wife, Ginger, and we interviewed her in the previous episode. So make sure you go back and check out that part. Ginger talks about her life growing up in Ecuador as a TCK and then coming back to the States and then meeting Dave. And Dave's story is picking up where Ginger left off. So we're excited to have this power couple on with us.
That's right.
All right, Dave, please give us a little bit of a backstory just to remind us where you lived abroad and how long you were there for people who are just joining us on this episode.
Okay. Yeah. Started with Quito, Ecuador for a summer as a foreign exchange student living with an Ecuadorian family. And then Jeddah in Saudi Arabia for 2 years, teaching aeronautics to aspiring trainees for the national airline. San Jose, Costa Rica for 1 year, attending Spanish language school, and ultimately Monteria, Colombia for a year and a half, flying as a pilot for Mission Aviation Fellowship.
So this episode is about coming back to your home country and how that went. Can you just give us a quick summary of when and why you left Colombia and returned to the U.S., and then where you landed here in the U.S., and then what you did after that, and what you're doing now?
So we left Colombia in 1986 because the flying program there under MAF was closed. Several reasons for that. First, the accident I narrated to you prompted a much closer examination of the risk-benefit equation. But also on that equation was the fact of the increased presence of the FARC, F-A-R-C, Colombian Marxist guerrillas in the territory we flew in. We had encountered these armed insurgents several times, and we knew they were flying incognito on our aircraft at times.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like they were pretending to be a person from the small town?
Right.
But they were really guerrilleros?
Yes.
Wow. That'd be scary.
Yep. So that was deemed to pose an existential risk, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
I think the accident alone probably would have prompted the closure, but the presence of the FARC in areas we were flying in really
That didn't help.
put the icing on the cake. When we left and landed back in the U.S., the kids were 9, 6, and 3 years old.
Got it.
So Dave, where did you land when you came back to the U.S.?
We returned to MAF headquarters in Redlands, California.
Okay. And then what did you do at that point?
Well, Ginger got a job in nursing in Redlands. She's a registered nurse. I did a bit of flying for MAF in northern Mexico, mostly in the Baja Peninsula. And I did some work in the MAF office and in the hangar maintaining aircraft.
Because you were also an aircraft technician.
Right. Well, unless they're at a base that has what's called a maintenance specialist. That's required for all MAF pilots.
So tell us, with your 9, 6, and 3-year-old moving back, tell us a story about that initial reentry transition.
Oh, boy. Well, I remember the kids really missed Yadi, really missed
Mm.
her. She was like a second mother to them, and Jenny especially has kept in touch with her. She still lives in Monteria with a daughter of her own now. She has an iPhone and internet,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
totally boggles my mind. That's what happens in intervening years, I guess.
Yep.
Um, and I s I really struggled emotionally coming back, with the reality of the closure of the program.
Mm.
We all loved the people in the Campo, the backcountry, and I just knew the loss of our aircraft would make their lives so much harder. And I once I returned, I think Ginger and I both struggled with how comparatively rich every one of our neighbors were, how rich our church was, and especially how much they didn't realize it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And, that's actually quite common for missionaries, UN workers, etc. I guess that guilt is kind of the price we pay for stepping into a really poor area and becoming very attached.
Mhm.
Dave, you mentioned that coming back because of the mission being closed, you and Ginger and the family came back unexpectedly. How did MAF help you through that process of that transition? Did you receive it like any counseling? Did you need any counseling? Did you or Ginger have a longer time of mourning the loss of that mission?
That's a really good question. I don't remember any counseling at all. Maybe Ginger does, but I think um, the people on home staff see so many returning missionaries come through, starting a furlough, and then going off to their place in the U.S. for a year or so, and it's just a constant flow. I don't think that anyone there ever even considered that, to be honest with you.
Mm.
We did not feel like we needed it
Oh, okay.
Okay.
at
Yeah.
all, not that I recall anyway. Um,
Yeah.
as I said, it was emotionally difficult in some ways, but, I do recall speaking to our pastor at the Ukaipa Baptist Church about it, so that was probably the only pastoral
Yeah.
counseling I received for that.
Right.
It faded fairly quickly,
Mhm.
because life intervenes. You get busy
Yeah.
with other things,
Yep. And you've got kids and you just
Yeah,
you
you
just
move on. I wouldn't trade that experience for anything, but returning definitely has some emotional consequences.
So tell us a little bit more about something else, some of the other things that were hard.
Oh, you're gonna make me do this, huh?
Well, we'll
Uh,
get to the good parts too.
well, while flying in Baja, I had my own accident.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Aircraft accidents, no matter how small, they're always a really hard thing for us pilots because, unfortunately, we tend to think of ourselves as sort of masters of our universe, incapable of failure, and that's, in fact, what causes many aircraft accidents. It's just overconfidence.
Hmm.
Um, I landed on a dirt strip with areas of decomposed granite, DG, which is very slippery for aircraft tires. And I couldn't stop in time, even though it was a fairly long strip. I ran into a fence at the end of the strip and broke the propeller. That was the only damage to the aircraft.
Phew.
But
And you
still,
were okay? You
oh,
and the
I
other
was fine.
passengers were
Oh,
okay?
yeah, yeah. I didn't impact it at more than, I don't know, couple knots, maybe. But thankfully, since then, I've flown 29 years of safe airline flying. No accidents or incidents. That's the only
Mhm.
thing on my record, which really isn't on my record because it wasn't reportable in Mexico.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
I guess I can say I have a clean record.
Right. Oh, goodness. So your propeller was broken, your pride was damaged, but your wisdom was increased. And
Well, yeah, no longer overconfident, I guess.
how did Ginger respond when she heard about that?
As you can imagine, she was just very grateful that that's all it was.
Yeah.
Because, she knew from Colombia that it could be really bad.
Well, tell us a story about something that was helpful with that transition.
Coming back to the US.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, our Christian faith has really been the key to surviving both time abroad and at home. Um, why does it ground us? It's immutable. It doesn't change in the face of all the challenges I've talked about here.
Mhm.
We depend on our faith to keep moving forward in difficult situations, and we know God is with us. We know He wants the best for us, and especially when serving Him in these foreign cultures.
Mhm.
So, if He can get us through life in a foreign land with all we experienced there, He can do the same thing in the transition. We weren't terribly
Mhm.
worried about it.
Mhm. How did the kids do? And what was helpful for them?
Jenny did great. She went to a Christian school that was run by our church there, Ukaipa First Baptist. So Ukaipa Christian School was great for her. They were very kind. Teachers were great. She still has wonderful memories of that. If you
Mhm.
ask her where was her most fun school, she'd definitely tell you Ukaipa, which is a community just down the freeway from Redlands.
Mhm.
We actually, even though we were working in Redlands, we lived in Ukaipa.
You said that Jenny was the one who adjusted the best. What about your boys?
It was a little harder for them. I think Matt was bullied somewhat at Ukaipa Christian
Mm,
School. You don't expect to see that at a Christian school, but boy, it happens.
that can happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Steve was still quite young, um, but I think Matt's memories of that whole part of his early life are definitely sadder than Jenny's.
Mm,
And it's hard to say how much that has affected him as he's grown older. I mean, he's a great guy, and in a long time, he hasn't brought it up to me.
mhm.
So I'm
You
hoping he's fully recovered emotionally from all that. I think that seeing Dad go away every day to fly this small aircraft into dangerous airstrips must have had some kind of an effect on them.
So, my last question for now is what we like to think of as our choose your own adventure question. Pick one of these questions to answer. So, A, what rhythms do you have in place that allow you to remember your time abroad? B, what do you do with all the feels, memories, relationships, love for the place and people, etc.? Or C, do you have a favorite funny story about your time abroad or transition back? So, which one of those would you like to answer?
The rhythms in place.
Okay.
I'll tell you that. Facebook is great for staying connected with foreign friends. Ginger, who, as you've said, grew up in Ecuador, stays in touch with her keto classmates through a Facebook group called Growing Up Keto.
Mm-hmm.
And I stay in touch with everyone at MAF through a Facebook MAF alumni group. We've
Mm-hmm.
attended reunions now and then in different parts of the country, both with Ginger's classmates and former or current MAFers, and I have a Dropbox account on our computer filled with pictures from all of our time abroad.
Yeah.
Look at those now and then.
It's interesting that now in these latter years, it's been since the mid '80s that you've
Yeah,
been back in the
yeah,
US,
long time.
and now because of this social technology, you can
Mhm.
reconnect. with
Yeah.
everybody. And
Yeah.
I love that because even though all that time has passed, so probably 30 years, you can reconnect with people in different ways or maintain the relationships that that you made.
Almost 40 years. Hard to believe.
Have you gone back to Colombia since you left?
No, no, we haven't. No.
Have any of your friends been able to come visit you here?
Nope.
So Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. That would be nice. I know Yachty would love to come here. She'd probably love to if we were able
Yeah.
to sponsor her. Jenny might do that at some point eventually. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'd love to bring some of those Colombian pastors here to
Mhm.
see what faith is like, what church is like in the US. I mean, they were quite familiar with the Presbyterian missionaries that had set up those churches that they now pastor. Um, but there have been changes in through the years, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, I just one part of me wants to know how they're doing, especially how they live, if they're still that isolated, or
Mhm.
if the country has built infrastructure that has alleviated that. I
Mhm.
pray for that. I've prayed for that for a long time.
Yeah.
But, uh, to be honest, of all those people we knew in Monteria, Yadi's the only one that has any means of communication other than letters.
Why do you think that is?
So the internet infrastructure and all that has not really.
Yeah, through the years, I've tried to see if any of those, pastors I knew so well, had a presence on the internet, and nothing has popped up at all. One thing that concerns me, to be quite honest, is that, the FARC, the Marxist
Mhm.
guerrillas, were very opposed to, churches
Mhm.
in those areas. They thought it was a structure that would oppose them.
Mm.
And I do know that they have killed a number of pastors in the region, but I have no way of finding out if any of the ones that I knew, that were
Right.
at the strips I flew into,
Yeah.
fell, under that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are some of the things that can be hard
Oh, yeah.
about leaving, especially, the fact that you guys ended up leaving prior to when, you had originally planned on being there for 4 years, but then
Mhm.
you ended up leaving earlier than you had intended,
Right.
and the way that you attach to the people
Uh-huh.
and, form relationships when you think that you're going to be someplace longer is very different than when you're only there for a year and you can still
Yeah.
make deep relationships, but you kinda know that it's gonna end. But when something ends earlier than you anticipate, it can
Yeah.
be just so much harder to process.
All right, Dave, would you please tell us a final story about how your time abroad continues to add value to your life?
Well, living abroad makes you humble,
Mhm.
and that sticks with you for life. Knowing what you didn't know back then, wondering what you think you know but really don't now, that quality has saved my bacon more times than I care to count. Humility is important, for personal growth, for healthy relationships, effective leadership,
Mhm.
because it tends to foster a more accurate and balanced view of oneself.
Mhm.
Um, it shouldn't be thought of as a sign of weakness or low self esteem. I think it's rather a quiet confidence that allows for vulnerability and a focus on others, by accepting that you just don't know everything. You
Mhm.
stay open to new ideas and feedback, and you're creating a growth mindset.
Mhm.
Humility helps you accurately recognize both your strengths and limitations without defensiveness. And that has allowed me to handle stressful events more effectively, and I would say with greater psychological resilience,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
a quality that really helped me in my airline career. You really need that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can imagine. Often we've
Yeah.
talked about this before too, about how the experiences that we have overseas do make us more creative. We're bridge builders and flexible. And we live in a world and communities that are very multifaceted and
Mm-hmm.
even multi-ethnic, multicultural within our own communities.
Yeah, I'm currently an elder in a church here in Fresno, and we have a lot of Hispanic people in the church. And um, my Spanish language has definitely helped me communicate with them better in their own heart language.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna counsel somebody, it's hard for them if it's not in their own heart language.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of an outgrowth from for both Ginger and I of our time in different Hispanic countries. It's really helped my personal ministry at this time.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, I love to hear that. That 40 years later,
Yeah.
you're still
Mm-hmm.
using these
Yeah.
blessings and skills that you learned back then.
They are blessings. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
This is the first time that we have shared interviews where we've had both spouses. We had Ginger before, and now we have you, Dave. So I'm curious, after having heard Ginger's stories about growing up as a TCK and then how you guys ended up in going to different places, we've asked how your time abroad added value to your life in general. But is there anything that you can think of about how your time abroad and, Ginger's growing up as a TCK, how that has uh, blessed your marriage and maybe your extended family, future generations?
Hmm. Sure. Um, you know, Ginger's time as a TCK was as a missionary kid. I mean, her
Mm-hmm.
parents were missionaries with radio station HCJB in Quito, Ecuador, that broadcast in shortwave all over the world. And so her aunties and uncles there were all really giants of the faith.
Mm-hmm.
Some absolutely amazing people. And I think she learned so much resilience in that
Mm-hmm.
atmosphere. She has a very, very strong faith. It takes a lot to rattle Ginger.
Mm.
And I think that's was just the missionary attitude that she grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I proposed going to Jeddah for 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
she didn't flinch.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Oh, that might be interesting."
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I mean, I'm inspired by her faith. I loved her parents. They were fantastic people. The stories they told about their time in Quito and the tight knit group that they had there. They probably had
Mm-hmm.
about 30 missionaries working with HCJB at that time. Just inspiring,
Yeah.
really.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent an evangelical revival around the world through shortwave radio.
And then you get to then come in and join this family, and then the blessings get compounded and passed on to the next generations.
Yeah, I grew up Catholic and didn't become a Protestant until the summer before my senior year of high school,
Okay.
and that was a very different culture than what Ginger grew up in, and
Mhm.
I think I fell in love with her just hearing all the stories. from her childhood and how eager she was to go back and see some of those people again. We did go back and visit.
Mm-hmm.
2004, I think it was.
Nice.
Yeah. And I actually got on an MAF airplane with her and went out to the jungle.
Neat.
In Ecuador.
In Ecuador, yeah. That was nice.
Cool.
We're still quite close friends with a number of the pilots that were in that program in Ecuador, out in the jungle. They're just one blessing after another in the community of missionary work is very special.
Yeah. I think that it's beautiful how God can bring together people who grew up in such different settings and with such different, life world experiences, and how you can end up on the same page, on the same plane, going to,
Yeah.
loving the same places,
Yeah.
even
Oh,
when you come from such different
yeah.
directions.
It was ordained.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
was preordained. God definitely brought Ginger and I together. I mean, a
Yeah.
number of different experiences through my life that just made it interesting for us together. We were a perfect match. That's why we made it to 50 years.
Well, Dave, as we conclude, what's one last word of encouragement or advice you can give to our listeners?
Step out of your comfort zone.
You said with so much conviction.
Traveling abroad can just foster so much personal growth and confidence, makes you more empathetic, fosters cultural awareness, and all of that boosts mental health and happiness. And that's something we all strive for.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't think I can put it any other way, but I can leave you with a quote from Dr. Seuss.
Okay.
Give it to us.
We'll take it.
I'll bet you can guess which one.
Okay. Oh, the places you'll go.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, the places you'll go. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own and you know what you know, and you are the one who'll decide where to go.
I love it. And as children's educators, we appreciate you ending with a children's author. Yes. Thank you, Dave. And happy 50th anniversary.
Yes. Happy 50th to you and Ginger. And thanks again so much for sharing these great stories. It's inspiring, and look forward to getting to share all of this wisdom and interesting stuff with our listeners. As we land this interview, we hope that you have been inspired by Dave's stories. Even though it took time to process their leaving Colombia, and Dave had to face his own plane accident in Baja California, he stayed grounded in his faith in God. He knew that if God could get him through life abroad, he would get him through life back in the U.S. He continues to value the humility which he gained overseas and keeps practicing it in his service in the United States, even in his retirement years. Dave couldn't have done this blessed life without Ginger, his wife of 50 years. And no matter what leg of the journey you're on, friends, we are so grateful you have brought us along with you.
Come back next time to hear from our guest, Papua Her Pistoresi, a Hmong American travel blogger, mom of one, and ministry leader. She studied to be an ESL teacher and got her first job teaching in a Christian international school in Wuhan, China.
If you're enjoying our podcast, we'd love it if you would leave us a review in your podcast app. And don't forget, you can visit our website at roundtripstories.com to see photos of our guests and to join our email list. And of course, tell your friends to travel the world with us. No passport, no packing, and no goodbyes required. Thanks so much for listening, friends. We'll see you next time.